It was a very difficult decision for me to come up here today, because I think a lot of us remember 2 years ago I decided that I was moving on from the Sustainable Development Institute. But because this is something that is very close to my heart and was a part of the organization when we started this initiative, I still thought it was important to be a part of this event today. So I'm here in my own capacity as a friend of the organization, as someone who has been a part of it from the onset. I think if some of you will recall, speaking in London in 2012, the president was very emphatic when she granted an interview to journalists. This was on the side of the meeting trying to lay out the Sustainable Development Goals to replace the Millennium Development Goals. I've never seen her being so emphatic and so confident. She said very clearly, corruption is a problem in Liberia, yes. But I challenge anyone to say it got something to do with me or my family. And she was very firm. She said, I stand by my record and by the record of my family very firmly. So she was very confident that absolutely none of those that are related to her, that are close to her within her inner circle, were linked to any of these corruption cases. So for me, after today, it will be interesting to see how, or whether in fact, she will still be able to be that assertive when she says that I stand by the record of my family. At the very least, I would expect that her son, Robert Salif, and the Salif Foundation, as the report will show, will be held accountable for the Chevron Social Development Fund contribution that they made back in 2010-2011. The report, I think, will provide for all of us the information, the evidence that we can use to challenge her based on the assertions that she made back at the time. According to a foreign policy magazine, this is a US-based news magazine, quoting a US embassy cable back in 2010 when a group of Chevron executives visited the president. She said to them that I don't want the Social Development Fund contribution coming through the budget because I don't want it to be misused the same way the other social development funds have been misused. So 7 years later, for me, it is very interesting to listen to the findings of the investigation that has been conducted by TP into exactly how that $10.5 million was used. Because this is a case that is very important and stands out very, very strongly. Because the justification that she gave for not allowing the money to go through the budget, then I think those responsible should be held accountable. At the end of the day, it is up to you. I think most of you hear from the media, who I hope will give life to this story, because I think it needs to be told. The evidence is there, so you need not be afraid of a libel suit that probably somebody's going to come after you in a court of law. The good thing is that the evidence in the field, they remain. So after Otto's presentation, I think he will give us more pointers. You can go out in the field and verify for yourself the findings that they will be sharing with us today. So at the end of the day, it is important to bear in mind that none of this will matter if those responsible are not questioned about their conduct, if those responsible are not held accountable for the manner in which they manage, or maybe I should say mismanage, the funds that were entrusted to them. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I hope we can listen to the findings from the investigations as will be presented by Otto, and I hope there will be opportunity for members of the press that are here to also ask some additional questions so that we all leave from here very well assured of the information that we are going to receive.
Since 2006, the government of Liberia has made significant strides towards improving governance, particularly governance within the natural resource sector of Liberia. For example, the National Forestry Reform Law of Liberia of 2006 mandates the Forestry Development Authority to provide access to the information to the public. They also encourage and mandates the FDA to engage in competitive bidding processes. But most importantly for us, it mandates the FDA to redistribute revenue that are accrued for natural resource extraction. For us, that is the basis for moving development forward in our country. Similarly, if you look at the Community Rights Law of 2009, it provides safeguards and protection for rural communities. It is very clear that and states that any decision, agreement, or activity affecting the status or use of community forest resources shall not proceed without the free, proud, and informed consent of communities. In spite of these progressive provisions in both the National Forestry Reform Law of Liberia and the Community Rights Law, the principle and tenets of accountability and transparency in the implementation arrangements of these policies and laws remain a key challenge to the state in achieving its goals for development. By using TIMBI, SDI has been successful in documenting in real time the gaps, the misapplication or mismanagement of one decision-making processes to the use and management of resources that are accrued from resource extraction, and documenting violation of local communities' rights. SDI has been able to use TIMBI to tell those stories, telling the stories that are never told. And today, SDI is again going to tell another story on how the $10.5 million from the Chevron Fund has been used. So the Chevron Social Development Fund, in the order of $10.5 million, were allocated and put into community projects around the country. SDI has been able to document how those projects were implemented and how funds under those projects were accounted for. So other documents obtained from the General Auditing Commission of Liberia, the GAC, point to gross misspending of the Chevron Social Development Fund by the National Oil Company of Liberia, NOCAL, and the Robert A. Shelley Foundation. According to those audits obtained by the Sustainable Development Institute, The US $10.5 million was allegedly injected into tax-deductible community development projects across Liberia between 2011 to 2014. The funds established through the Chevron Liberian Economic Development Initiative, the CELED, were to deliver 80 projects focused on enterprise development, health, and education across 15 counties for social and economic benefits for women, children, and youth. Despite financial protocols, some of which I could say are related to the PPCC, etc., the Chevron Fund did not go through the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, but instead was handled through NOCA, which the President's son, Robert Salif, chaired for at least part of the time. And the President's son private foundation, the Robert A. Foundation, Salif Foundation, managed. Although unable to obtain documentation on how and for what the $10.5 million were expended, agencies like the Liberian Institute for Public Integrity have been vocal about their concerns, sharing the President's decision to inform Chevron not to give social contributions to the Ministry of Finance and Development. This demonstrates, according to the Liberian Institute for Public Integrity, the lack in the President in confidence in Liberia's treasury. The ministry intends no signed agreement exists between any oil company and the country for the payment of social development funds. The President has been very, very clear about corruption, and Silas alluded to that. But our findings using TIMBI has shown that the projects that were visited were not up to what were reported. And this is not the first time that misspending and bribes have clouded Chevron presence in Liberia. In 2010, again there were issues about Chevron's role in Liberia, particularly around the production sharing contract between the Liberian government and Chevron. Now, for the first time, other documents obtained by SDR shed light on what these missteps have caused in terms of community development, and specifically on the types of projects that the general public missed out because of misspending by NOCA and the Robert A. Foundation. Upon GSC's request for an audit, which we have here, so I'd like to exhibit that for those of you who are doing videos. This is the request for the audit. NOCA provided a commission with a list of 79 projects covering several counties. A detailed list of projects is available in the TIMI report published below. So if you want to see those, there are the dashboard that Ato shared, and some of you who are interested in following up, you can go there and find. So there were 79 projects that were detailed. Over the last three weeks, TIMO reporters from LCR visited several of the alleged projects implemented by NOCA and the Robert A. Foundation using Chevron funding. Based on witness reports and testimony, a number of the projects don't exist, have not been started, or have otherwise been poorly executed under obscure circumstances. And I think the Robert A. Salif and the Robert A. Salif Foundation must be held accountable and give accurate account of who have contributed to the infrastructure development of Liberia. Liberia must develop the culture of holding individuals and institutions entrusted with public funds to account in such a way that contributes to the governing process of the state. The three main projects that team lead investigated include: one, the youth community centered in Loken Town with a cost of $700,000. The Chevron Central Park in Valtown with a cost of $2 million. And a low-income housing units in Buchanan, Grand Bassa, and San Nicolas, Nima County with a cost of $2.3 million. While President Salif accepted her son's resignation from Nokai and as senior advisor in 2013, and Nokai filed for bankruptcy shortly after, the individual authorities and companies responsible for the misappropriation of social development funds have yet to be charged. So we are talking about $10.5 million that is going on the waters, with no one being held responsible. Robert Salih ran for the Monrovia Senate seat in 2014 and lost. This is the report we have. And so, as you have the reports in your hands, it will be good if you have further questions on what we just presented to you. Thank you very much.